Back in the early 1990s, PC gaming was going through a revolution of its own separate from the console landscape. The technological leap in terms of memory and graphic capabilities was rapidly evolving. The introduction of VGA and SVGA monitors meant that those technologies could now be properly displayed for gamers everywhere. This alone was a big step in PC gaming. Games were going from looking like oversized Game Boy games to something that could better compete with console games running on color TV sets. Computer games were also transitioning from point-and-click adventures to emphasize more on the new CD medium and what it could offer. Now we had full motion video, actual full speech for games such as Legend of Carandia, which was one of my first games that I got when I got a CD-ROM drive.
He will come for me. Please help Brendan.
And Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
What's so darn funny?
I couldn't boost you as far as I trust you, let alone up there.
The CD medium brought about new and more immersive worlds to play in. But one thing still eluded the PC and console gaming landscape back then. That was 3D. The technology, it just was not quite there yet. So when Wolfenstein 3D arrived, it broke new ground. Sure, it was not true 3D, but it would do for the time. The arrival of Doom, however, threw everything into overdrive. Soon, the entire industry wanted a piece of that pie, and Doom clones were not only bombarding the entire landscape, they were reshaping it. Everything released after Doom would be a Doom clone. Some were good, and some, well, hey, you know what? They can't all be winners. So while Quake was released in 1996 and introduced full 3D environments and enemies to the genre, it was Unreal and the Unreal Engine that redefined the late 90s in terms of where the FPS genre was heading towards: massive multiplayer arenas or shooting arenas. This would be the emergence of Unreal Tournament. This November marks the 25th anniversary of what many consider to be the pinnacle of the multiplayer arena battle genre that was slowly taking over the PC world by storm. For those out there that may not be familiar with this amazing title, let's go over some basic info first. It was developed by Epic Games and Digital Extremes and published by GT Interactive back in 1999 for PC and Mac, before making its way to Linux, the Dreamcast, and eventually the PS2. This came about after Tim Sweeney had developed the Unreal 3D engine and Epic released Unreal back in 1998 for PC and Mac. That game sold fairly well, ending up around 11th place among PC games that were sold that year. However, the team at Epic felt that the multiplayer aspect of the original Unreal game left something on the table, and so they set out to improve it between the summer of '98 up to September of 1999, when they released a playable demo. But the entire project had taken a life of its own by then, and what had started as an add-on feature soon had enough content to stand on its own. The team initially came to call this expansion Unreal Tournament Edition. Even though the game was not the first to include such modes as Capture the Flag and Domination, to name a few, the entire game and maps were specifically made to optimize the multiplayer aspect for the best experience possible.
I'm going to run through some of the new stuff here. New menuing system. We want to make it easy for people, so they've designed a menuing system that mimics Windows 95. Anybody who knows Windows knows our new menuing system. You can actually even go and change your video resolution on the fly. The HUD is completely configurable. Anything in our new heads-up display you can just change around to your heart's desire. You can change its level of transparency, add items, change items, move them around. One of the other things that we're looking to do on the tournament side is to actually develop tournaments. We want to develop continental masters, continental champions, a European champion, a North American champion, an Asian champion, an Australian champion, and then annually get together and have a big event to find out who's the world champion.
Unreal Tournament Edition had 5 playing modes: Deathmatch, Domination, Capture the Flag, Assault, and Challenge. Deathmatch is just you pitted against a determined set of enemies, and the most kills wins the match. Domination has you playing in teams as you secure several points in the map. The more points in control, the more points you collect until you acquire enough to win the match. Capture the Flag is just what it sounds like. It's capturing the flag. The This is probably my favorite game mode, not just in this game but many others. I wasted many nights back in the day playing this game and Nox Online Capture the Flag modes. Assault is also a fun one where you play on teams and either assault the enemy's position or defend against them. Deck 16 is one of the most famous maps to come out of this mode, although I like the speeding train level as well. And finally, there is Challenge. Here you are thrown into different maps against many other players. The level layouts for these are really intricate and the enemies are relentless. The arenas and their layouts as well as the fan-made mods are what make this game shine. Some levels will have you fighting in closed areas, some will have you in outer space. Sometimes you might find yourself inside a spaceship, a cavern or a castle-like setting, or trying to assault or defend a modern-day warship. The specific map called Deck 16, which I mentioned earlier, along with Facing Worlds, which you see right here, have gone on to garner critical praise not only among the gamer community, but from various publications such as IGN, G4 TV, remember them, The wide array of looks and designs meant that no two levels really looked alike. Now, one of the biggest differences between this title and Quake was that Epic allowed the gaming community access to the very same development tools that were used in creating the maps and the overall game. They came packed in with the game on disc too. There was no DLC needed or patches to be downloaded. Oh, how times have changed. These tools meant gamers could modify existing levels and create new ones without the need for outside map editors, like Quake. This was great news since it led to a very engaged gaming community that would provide plenty of mods and fresh maps to keep the Unreal fans busy for a long time. Even the developers in Epic were surprised at the turnout that the gaming community provided using these tools. Some mods were so popular that they were included with the Game of the Year edition. This small clip from an interview with lead programmer Tim Sweeney back in 2001 really speaks to the overall commitment to the game and the community that Epic had when they were working on Unreal Tournament.
How much does the Unreal community affect your decisions on how to alter the game?
That's actually been a really huge factor with Unreal Tournament. With Unreal 1, we started out with the design in a vacuum, and then to our surprise, all these websites started popping up. Unreal fan sites, interviewing us, showing screenshots and message boards talking about the game. We started following them then, but it was really Unreal Tournament where we made the community our #1 focus. So we go on the message boards constantly, see what people are saying about adjusting games, seeing what people were thinking about our screenshots. We'd invite a lot of webmasters and random gamers from all over the place over to our office to check out the game and give us some feedback. Starting with Unreal Tournament, the community has really been an integral part of our development process. If the community doesn't love the game, then we're screwed.
Good thing is that you can always play with bots and can even modify different stats for them to hone your skills or just plain have some fun without having to look for players online. Wait, being able to play a multiplayer game offline? Huh, what a concept. Bot modifications can include not only difficulty, but choosing genders, overall armor colors, different types of bots overall, and other small details that you can tinker with. Looking at the bot setting here, it seems that the max is 16 for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if that number also holds true to actual human players when setting up a game online, which nowadays is pretty much non-existent. But there are still servers out there if you go to the UT community website that you see right here. The weapons in this game, they're so freaking awesome. Every single gun has a primary and secondary function, and quickly deciding which of the two will be beneficial to your tactical approach is a must in the battlefield. Some of the weapons here include the missile launcher, shock rifle, the bio rifle, sniper rifle, one of my favorites, the Redeemer, and possibly one of the most famous out of all the weapons, the flak cannon. Oh, that's messy. Taking down an enemy close up and hearing the body parts fly all over and ricochet around the level, oh, that's some good stuff right there. The version that you see right here is the Game of the Year edition, which came with 2 discs, one for the actual game and the second consisting of some of the more popular mods created by the UT community, as well as some new content by Epic themselves. You had 2 new bonus packs consisting of new maps for all game match modes, the introduction of relic mutators, giving players added attributes which spawn throughout the levels but can only be used by one player at a time, as well as Rocket Arena UT and Chaos UT. There was also supposed to be a 3rd bonus pack called Tactical Ops, but was not included with the Game of the Year edition and was later released as a standalone title called Tactical Ops Assault on Terror. If you had pre-ordered the game via specific retailers, you also got one specific exclusive map based on which retailer you bought the game from. For example, if you had ordered from CompUSA, anybody remember CompUSA out there? Yeah, you got AS Bridge. If you got it from Best Buy, you got the DM Chronos map. While Babbage's, wow, haven't heard that name in a while, they had the CTF Barnacle map. When the game was ported to the Dreamcast and PS2, it did so, but with many limitations. A lot of the maps had to be omitted, and the Dreamcast version even had to remove the female gender from their version, and that alone meant the game took a huge hit with the Unreal community. But the console ports also had exclusive content of their own, not found on the PC port. So if you did not own a PC or your rig was just not able to meet the requirements to run this game, the console ports would suffice and can be just as fun as the PC counterpart. Speaking of requirements, yeah, they were a bit high for what was considered normal back then. Some publications praised the game but criticized the high spec requirements. You could still play the game without a dedicated card, but it ran in very low resolution and the speed took an overall hit, which was a big deal as the game was known for its quick and relentless pacing. I was able to play the game with a very low-end graphics card back then using this bad boy right here. Yeah, you're not seeing things. That says 4 megabytes of video RAM. 4 megabytes. I had this one installed on my custom built PC running Windows 98 SE, stop laughing, on 128 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, 128 megabytes of RAM. You tell him, Ric Flair. Unreal Tournament would go on to win many awards across a vast amount of publications in the gaming industry, including Action Game of the Year by GameSpot, Multiplayer Game of the Year from CNET, Game of the Year, Computer Gaming World, First Person Action Game of the Year from PC Zone, and Best Online PC Game by Game Revolution. This game would also spawn 3 direct sequels, with Unreal Tournament 3 being the last to be released in 2007 on PC, PS3, and the Xbox 360. Hey, I still got my PS3 copy right here. Sadly, the 2014 Unreal Tournament title that was planned for release would be cancelled, and it seems for the time being that the Unreal series is dead. If you want further proof of this, go to the Epic website right now and try to purchase any of the Unreal games via their own site. Yeah, you can't. Whether it's Unreal Tournament or the original Unreal or any of the Unreal games at all. Epic themselves have totally disowned the very franchise that brought them relevance and a great deal of praise from the gaming community. What the frick? That is insane. And you might say to yourself, well, you know what? Forget about the Epic Store Marketplace. Buy it somewhere else. Okay, let's do that. You can't. Epic has totally wiped the series off the digital landscape. Now, it is stated that this was done due to the Online Privacy Protection Acts, and since the games did not meet the standards for such laws, instead of updating the games, it was cheaper, yeah, I know, I said it, cheaper, for Epic to just delist them, wiping their hands clean of any possible lawsuits in the future. You know, it's funny to say that it's cheaper for them to do that since Epic is practically printing money at this point. You're gonna tell me that they cannot allocate some money in a small team to revamp the entire series, or just 1 or 2 games? You're gonna tell me Epic doesn't have the money to do that. But I think the better choice of word here is not cheaper, it's not profitable for them to do that. Why? Because they have Fortnite taking up all their attention. You know who hasn't forgotten the Unreal Tournament games, or the series overall? Us, the gamers. The people who bought the game. The people who have played the game. The people who make the websites that keep these servers running. The people who are now keeping the Unreal Tournament community alive. I don't know what's harder to believe, that the game is now 25 years old, or that Epic has totally forgotten about the game. I still find that hard to believe. Anyway, what are your memories on this specific title of the series, or the series overall? Ever play any of them? Would you still play any of these titles today? Should the series make a comeback, or is the market at this point just too saturated with much better arena shooters? Share your thoughts with us all, and until next video, keep watching and keep
I'm sorry, did I blow your head apart?